A lot of people that move to the Killeen area end up buying in the wrong neighborhoods. Now, they're not my clients, but I want to make sure that you have some information. So as you start to do your due diligence and look for certain key areas or key information pieces, you kind of have some background knowledge of what's going on in the area, because people often overlook the areas or the homes that are gaining momentum and the reasons why they're gaining the momentum. So the Killeen market is continuing to shift in a very big way. New communities are being built. Development is happening towards the Harker Heights and Temple corridors, really all throughout this area, but there are definitely some pockets that are growing a little bit faster than other areas. And buyer demand for the Fort Hood area continues to reshape where people actually want to live. And so that's what's going to be broken down in today's video. So if you're planning to move here in 2026 or any year for that matter, relying on outdated information, whether it's just Google, whether it's just Facebook pages, or if you're searching by price point alone, that could end you up in the wrong neighborhood. So we want to make sure that you don't miss out on areas that maybe offer long-term value, or maybe a better commute, or whatever your lifestyle really calls for, because you didn't have all the tools or information at your disposal. So if you don't know who I am Brina Gordon, your favorite Central Texas realtor. I work with a lot of military families in relocating buyers to the Fort Hood / Killeen Central Texas area. So I spend a lot of time studying neighborhoods that are actually gaining momentum, not just the ones that people already know about. I'm always staying in contact with builder reps and just even attending city council meetings, so I kind of know like what's being developed or maybe what's not being developed, because we have delays in development too that may be in consideration for where you want to purchase. But if you want to know which neighborhoods I would pick, then you want to make sure you stay tuned for this video, and make sure you comment down below if you have questions, concerns, or if you've been looking at a neighborhood that I mentioned and you want to dig into it a little bit further. So we're going to start right off the top. How to evaluate neighborhoods in Killeen. Now, we are going to talk about a couple outside of Killeen as well, but Killeen, of course, is still our hub since it's the closest to the military base. Choosing the right neighborhood in Killeen isn't just about prestige. I know, there are certain things people look for, but it's also about positioning yourself where the growth, convenience, and lifestyle advantages actually are. And you're going to be surprised what I'm going to discuss in some of these communities. And so here are things that I look at. First, of course, access and commute to the Fort Hood area, because for a lot of people, that is where they're working. Now, if you're not military or military affiliated, that may not necessarily be your task, but maybe you're looking for the medical side in Temple or something. So either way, just knowing where your commute is at. Depending on where you live, your commute can vary drastically. Even just right here in our small Central Texas area, you'd be surprised how sometimes the commute can kind of add up. Some neighborhoods give you quick access to the base and main highways, while others can add significant value, or not value, but drive time during peak hours, or they may just be further into the city or further outside of the city compared to where you would ideally like to go. So we want to make sure that we consider that in your consideration for your home. The second is proximity to growth corridors. Areas like Harker Heights, Temple, Highway 95 tend to benefit strong from development, because of course these are areas that are getting promoted quite a bit. Anything along 95, there's a lot of stuff that is currently being built around it. There's new apartment complexes that have already gone up. So, once apartments and gas stations start coming up, there's a new shopping center that I think is being developed out there as well. So there's a lot that's going to tie into that area that is also going to affect the value, which turns us to number 3, price to value ratio. I'm not just talking about the cheapest homes, because I know sometimes that is the focus, but I'm looking at the neighborhoods where what you're paying today is significantly less than what you're getting for the terms of the location. So it's the lifestyle, the potential, because if we're like, hey, I'm just focused on getting this amount, but if we are also in a neighborhood that is declining, that may not be the best fit. Now, of course, whatever floats your boat, but I'm just telling you things to take in consideration. And fourth is going to be development and construction activity. When builders begin investing heavily in an area, that's also a sign for expected demand to increase over time, which we know other things will follow suit with it as well. And finally, future appreciation potential, because everyone wants to buy a home and you want it to appreciate. So some areas in Killeen have already had their growth, and so that's kind of what I was talking about when we are focused on just price point. But maybe that area is already kind of showing a decline, because there's kind of there's a peak that it's going to hit, and then it's going to slowly, it may maintain, and then it may slowly start to kind of trickle back down, because development and renovation and all those may be expanding to other areas. Like I said, some areas in Killeen may have already had their growth, others are just starting, and so sometimes those are the ones we're focusing on, or maybe we're just kind of focusing on the areas that are kind of right through the middle. But if I'm personally buying somewhere, I want to be in the neighborhood where buyers are looking back 3 to 5 years and they realize that their growth is things happening, and same thing for my clients. Now, I always say that with a little bit of a disclaimer and caveat, because I know everyone is in their own price range, their own circumstance, their own situation, but these are just general thoughts that you want to consider when you're considering something as large as purchasing a home. So with that framework in mind, here are the communities that I would personally consider. Now, I have talked about number one previously. I probably talk about it too much, but I'm actually somewhat impressed by this community, and I think it's going to be something very unique for our area for a multitude of reasons. And I'll post the video here. This is when it was just starting to become developed. I do have a couple clips that I'll show too as it's being developed, but I do go by there often just to see what's all going on. So it's going to be the Preserve at Thousand Oaks. Now, this is located in Killeen off of Stagecoach, which is a relatively long road, but I do think it's in a relatively good spot. It's still off the beaten path just a tad, but you're very much close to everything Walmart, or at least the neighborhood Walmart. You can get to all your shopping needs and everything very quickly. But for this newer community, what I really like about it is the range of housing that it's currently offering and will offer. So they really had a different vision, just because they're going to offer entry-level homes, multifamily homes. They already have duplexes out there. Mind you, they have 1-story and 2-story duplexes. So that's kind of a different thing, because we don't always see them combined together. But they have the entry-level homes, and then they are breaking ground for their other side of the community that are going to have 1-acre lots available. So those are going to house some higher end homes. And so I think they're probably going to be touching maybe 6, 7, maybe even close to $1 million. So having all those within, 2 mile, really a mile, 2 mile radius of each other, I think it's going to be kind of unique. Now, they are going to be, like I said, on separate sides, because I know, if you're buying a home to that level of price ranges, then there is kind of a separation of them. So they are breaking ground on the other side for it. But I think it's going to be really unique as far as what it offers now, what it's going to offer in the future. This is a community that you can literally just move up in within itself, and so that's something that we really haven't seen in our specific area. Maybe that's something in other areas, but I think the future development plan is going to be really unique. It is a HOA, but it will have a soccer field. It already has a pond. It's going to have a pickleball court. They already have walking trails and a playground available, so it does have some amenities tied to it as well. Like I said, it's going to have those 1-acre lots, so I really think that's what's going to be that to push it over the top, because we see entry-level homes, we see duplexes in those same communities, but we haven't quite seen the high-end homes get put into the mix as well. So you really do have an option for everyone at every stage of life. So I think location-wise, it's going to be really unique, because it's going to be easy access to Fort Hood. It's also relatively close to Harker Heights in the 95 corridor, so you can kind of get best of all the worlds. And so that's why it's number one for me. If I was specifically looking at a home, that would be a community that I would take a look at. So if you're interested, reach out to me, because your girl will be over there a lot. So I know what's going on. I know what they have and what they don't have. Is it going to fit everybody? Technically, no. They do have 2-story homes. They have 1-story homes, but I do think they're giving you a pretty good mix to choose from. And they're they're a local builder. They're growing quite a bit, but they're still a local builder that also offers affordability. So of course, that's always something that we are going to absolutely love, because homeownership is expensive. So we want to make it as affordable as we can. And they do offer some pretty good incentives on top of it.
Hey, if you're thinking of relocating to the Fort Cavazos area, I have just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research. And I have it linked right down below. The best part is there's no obligation to this, and it's going to come with everything from the top employers to the best schools and a boatload of other information, everything that you need to make the best decision. Again, no obligation. So make sure you click the link below. It also will be pinned, and I hope that it helps.
Let's go ahead and roll into number 2. Now, this neighborhood has been developed pretty much. I think there's maybe 1 to 2 builders still finishing up in there. So since there is still some development in Yowell Ranch, I think it's still a great one to consider. Even not saying homes that or neighborhoods that don't have development aren't good ones to consider, but since it's still kind of in that beginning lifestyle cycle of the community, I think it's good, because you still have some fresh homes that are coming through. People are still actively building there, coming through there, and I think this is a community 3 to 5 years you're still going to be holding value. They're still going to be highly sought after, because it's a great location in regards to you're close to 2 other highly developed communities or developing communities. You're close to the newest high school, you're closest to the newest middle school, and you're a short drive to Highway 95. So if you commute to Austin, Round Rock, Georgetown, it's a very easy shot down there. And so a lot of people love that as well, because we do get a lot of overflow from the Austin area due to the affordability. This is also a community that is affordable. So this is very much an entry level start point for a lot of people. Now, again, everyone is in their own season, their own financial standing and all that. But this community does offer a lot of entry-level homes. And so, of course, with that, you get the entry-level homes, you get a good location, and you get a sense of community because it does have community pools, parks, walking trails, dog parks, green spaces. There's even a couple little ponds. So people really do like the visual side of it as well, in addition to the actual livability. So you actually have things to do in your community, and you're paying for HOA that is actually offering something, because oddly enough, that's not in all communities. So I think resale wise, it's going to continue to hold strong, especially while there's still development going on in the area. Now, this is, like I said, entry level, so you may not necessarily get the space or the higher end home, but it's an excellent option for a lot of people. A lot of the older homes in the community as well were built by other builders, so there's a lot of different variety, and people do love that because you have 2-story, you have 1-story, you have open concept, you have more traditional homes that have a little bit more separation, because the community itself has been developed since the early 2000s. And so, or mid 2000s. So there's a lot of different ranges and styles that have gone on throughout that time that now are able to come back on the market, and people like that. So I think it's a really good combination and mix of a lot of different things. In addition to it being easy access to Fort Hood, so it's not a crazy drive. You can still get pretty much anywhere you need to get. It's off a stagecoach, but it's nothing too crazy to where it's like, oh, I feel like I'm, off in the middle of nowhere. Nothing like that. It's stagecoach itself has really built up over the last few years. So you're still very much close to everything, Walmart, shopping, and all of that. Now, we are going to take it a step up to Herring Legacy. I like this community because it is a little bit of a second tier, so I do focus a lot on affordability, but everyone's in their own journey, and so I do help a lot of people that are looking for their second home, their retirement home, or just in general want something that's on a larger lot, or, maybe some different finishings and amenities within the home itself, and Herring Legacy definitely offers that. It sits on the Killeen and Harker Heights border, so for people that are kind of favoring Harker Heights, but maybe like the affordability of Killeen, I think it's a kind of a nice mesh between the two. And like I said, you are on usually larger lots because they're larger homes, and that's a huge plus for a lot of people, because I have a lot of clients that are just starting to want a little bit more space. They don't necessarily want the brand new construction homes that are just right next to each other. Although the homes may be nice, they are, a little bit tighter in quarters, which I definitely understand that. And so it just depends on the style in the home that you want, the quality of homes that you want, and the lifestyle that you want to live. Now, this particular community does back up to a park, so you do still have that access or that lifestyle. It doesn't have the other amenities like pools and soccer parks and those sort of things. So it's a little bit less developed on that side, but there are still really nice things that you can do in the area. And again, it's just a little bit larger lot, kind of a little bit more of that second home, retirement home, or just someone looking to spend a little bit more, since we are probably going to be starting in that 400 range. Mainly one level homes. There's a community that connects to it as well that has another builder that does offer 2-story homes, but you are going to see a lot of 1-story homes, but they will have some higher end finishings, and again, be on some larger lots. So you will see a lot of upgraded things within the whole area of that particular subdivision and the connecting one as well, given the price points of the home. So for a buyer that's looking for something a little bit more distinctive, a little bit more spacious, Herring Legacy is probably going to be a really good option to at least consider and take a tour of. Now, like I said, we're not just going to focus on the Killeen area, so we're going to touch on Belton, because Belton is a very popular city as well, and it's one I would consider alone for its school district. I have a lot of clients that come and want Belton specifically because it does have the higher ranking school district. Now, I always like to let people know it may be higher ranking than Killeen. However, it has a lot less schools. So, just the data points on that. Every school is always dependent upon the administration, but in general, it does have a higher ranking. And so it does draw in a lot of people for that factor alone. But with Three Creeks, I think it's a really neat community because it sits a little bit off the beaten path, but it's literally like a minute drive to the highway. So if you work in the Temple, Belton area, that's an excellent choice, especially if you work for the VA in Temple or Baylor Scott and White. Temple is very much a medical hub, so if you have employment there, it may be a community that you want to consider. If you're an outdoors person, I think it's a great community for that as well, so that kind of captures back to that lifestyle. Within the Three Creeks community, you do have a few builders. They are going to be probably, they have some entry level, but they definitely have some second tier homes as well, or maybe retirement homes as well. The lot sizes themselves kind of vary depending really on the builder, and just really the lots specifically, but they definitely have some homes that start to touch well into the 3s and 400s. They might even have, you know, in the 500s, but definitely 3s and 4s pretty easily, maybe some high 2s with one particular builder. But if you are a nature person, it's very close to Stillhouse Hollow Lake. So if you need to go fishing or you just like to hike the trail, I think it's a great option for that. Within the community itself, you also have the option to enjoy the pavilion that's there. I think there's a rentable pavilion. And then they also have walking trails, and then it is really nice because there's like a little creek that runs through it with the volleyball court. So if that's more so your lifestyle, you know, your family, or you have your pet or whatever, or you yourself really love to kind of just take in nature, I think that's a really nice spot. And they have some nice green belt lots there too. I had a listing last year that had a gorgeous green belt in the back, so you know there were no neighbors, it was just greenery, and so it was really, really peaceful. And so I think it's a really unique community for that aspect. In addition to, it is still easy access to the highway, whether you need to get to Fort Hood or if you need to go the opposite direction to the medical side in Temple or UMHB. UMHB is located in Belton and is a private Christian university, and so they do bring in a lot of employment too. So there's a lot of little caveats within each community and the lifestyle that it can bring. So if you're looking to relocate to the Killeen and Central Texas area in 2026, here's what I would think about. Of course, we just broke it down in the video, but if you're wanting a new construction with a community with a mix of housing and future growth, especially if you're military and you want to utilize your VA loan to house hack, I would definitely highly consider the Preserve at Thousand Oaks. And if you're interested to any of the communities, or whether I mentioned that specific one, or if you just want to look at other ones as well, please feel free to reach out to me. This is by no means the only list of communities that are out there. I just wanted to highlight these specifically for the reasons that I've given. And if you want area that has a little bit more amenities, maybe a little bit more high end, then I would definitely suggest Herring Legacy. If you're looking for something that's maybe a little bit more established, or resale homes that have, you know, fireplaces and different characteristics, then I would definitely say Yowell Ranch, because you're definitely going to be able to choose from a variety of home types there while still being centered in a good location in regards to resale, accessibility to everything, and a good combination. Or if you're looking for something that maybe is a little bit more quiet but still easy access, but maybe a little bit more on the nature side, then as I said, Three Creeks is definitely a pretty nice community to consider, and the lifestyle that matters most to you. And so there's so many different options out here. It's not just these communities, but like I said, I wanted to highlight these just because people don't always know where to look and the reasons to look there. A lot of times, you know, we're just focused on the price point or maybe something else, but long-term growth, access, community, and lifestyle are all factors that you also want to consider when you're looking to purchase a home. As always, I'm Brittany Gordon, your favorite Central Texas realtor. Make sure you drop down in the chat if you have questions, if you're considering these areas, or if you're ready to get started on your home purchase journey, or if you're looking to sell and upgrade to that next home.